Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a lovely morning, and welcome to the Better Luck Next Time podcast by me, your host, Erin. And please excuse how I look. I've got a feisty ass spot coming and just generally feel a bit meh. I don't know if it's because of the weather, because it's July and it's been chalking it down, but hey ho. Not that I'm complaining, because who doesn't love a little rainy Sunday so that you can sit and feel cozy. I know it's summer and we're supposed to be out and enjoying pub gardens, but that's not what the universe intended. So trying to make good of what we got, basically. So hi, this is kind of an introduction for me to YouTube, because my podcast was originally just on Spotify, and I did a little season, kind of like a test run to kind of find my sound, find how I address topics, and I really loved it. It's like a personal journal, and I found it really helped me, as well as being really fun to make. So I did that last year for a bit, and then I took a 2-week break for Christmas and was planning to come back, but it's been 6 months. So sometimes things happen in life and you just can't get back to things, or you can't find the energy or the want to do them. And as much as I really loved doing it beforehand, it just wasn't serving me at the time, and I had loads of stuff going on for the first part of 2024, which I can't believe we were already in month 7 of this year. That's gone really quick. It's panic mode. But yeah, basically life isn't coherent, and sometimes you find you can't get back to things. So that's why I took such a long break. But yeah, so welcome back. You're welcome to check out the previous episodes on Spotify. Obviously they don't have video content, because this is the first episode I'm doing with video content, which I'm really excited about. I think there's 8 episodes I did before I clocked out for 6 months, but they're on Spotify as Better Luck Next Time podcast. And check them out. They're 20 to 30 minutes long, and we discuss anything and everything on this podcast. So, but I really wanted to do video content, because I feel as though, as much as podcasts are fun, I really like watching them myself. Any podcast that I listen to, I love watching the people talk as well. And I think it's because you can really get expression, and you can kind of get to know someone better based on how they act. Obviously their personality comes out more when you see them on a screen rather than just hearing them. Because, you can have a lot of expression in your voice, but I felt as though to really connect to people, I wanted for you guys to be able to see me, and I don't know, I think it connects us better. So that's why I've started doing video content. So it's just a nice little addition. So I guess I should do a little introduction to me, if you haven't already watched my episodes. I'm 23. I don't act like it. I don't feel 23. I feel so much younger and also so much older at the same time. I feel as though I kind of clocked out mentally after 19. I hit 19 and then it was just now I'm 23. But yeah, and I'm going to be 24 in January, which feels, I know it's a good 6 months away still, but it feels really scary. So yeah. I am from, I'm going to say near Bath, because no one ever knows where our town is from, and it's probably best I don't say exactly where I'm from, but I'm near Bath. Every time someone would ask at uni, I would say Bath because no one ever knew. So it was always best just to say I'm from between like Bath and Salisbury, or you'd say, oh, I live near this place, and they'd be like, oh yeah, but they never knew the actual place. So I'm from near Bath. I don't really have any specific, like, what's the word, like dialect, like accent. That's what I'm thinking of. I don't really have an accent. So, but I've also moved around a lot. Not a lot, but I moved around a bit when I was a teenager, like a preteen. So I don't think I ever really established a specific accent that is synonymous with an area. But, so yeah, that's me really. And yeah, I'm here just to talk about life and all the ups and downs of 20s, because let's be real, there's a lot of them. So come join me to just sail through it. That is the chaos and confusion of your 20s. Please excuse the knocking. I think my neighbours are doing some renovations, or Dad could just be deciding it's his DIY era. But yeah, so this episode is about moving in your 20s and living with your parents in your 20s, because I know a lot of people can relate to this, and me and my family just moved house, and it was intense, and I haven't moved house as an adult before, which I think is completely different to when you're moving as a child, obviously, because when you're a child, you don't have to do as much, first and foremost, because you're not exactly going to have any great organisational skills, and you just don't, everything's done for you when you're a kid, so you don't need to worry about anything. You're just more excited about, or scared about moving. But at the end of the day, when it comes to it, you are just taken to the house. That's it. You kind of watch everything else happen around you. So obviously this was a very different experience this time, because the last time I moved, I think I was 17. No, I was 16. So I helped out, but I was just starting A-levels. So I was more distracted, whereas this time, with a bit more knowledge under my belt and a bit more self-awareness, I got to like actually be a part of the moving process, like physically and mentally. And oh my god, I knew it was going to be stressful, and I knew it was stressful, but nothing could have prepared me for how stressful it ended up being. It was a very weird situation, because Mum and Dad were renting the house that we lived in, and Dad just got a call up one day and basically said, you have 2 months to find a place and move, because the people wanted the house back. So 2 months isn't very long, but apparently that is the legal requirement of landlords, which I think you should have way more time. 2 months is not a lot for the whole process of finding a house, signing papers, packing everything, moving, cleaning a house. But that's what we were given. That's the cards we were dealt. So it was pretty much on the ground running from that point. And it's also was really shocking. We didn't plan to move for quite some time, and we weren't prepared for it, obviously. So, but sometimes the universe just chuck things at you. And at first I was really, really sad, because we had lived in that house for 6 years, almost 7, and it had really become a home. We'd hosted so many parties and events with family and friends. I had my graduation party like a few months prior, and it just felt like now we have to leave it behind. And it this house was filled with so many memories that I couldn't imagine going somewhere else and it being the same. So yeah, it was very much took up a lot of our time. Like, I can't imagine how mum and dad felt, because they were the ones that actually were responsible for it all, but obviously I helped. And I definitely felt a lot of responsibility as well. Like, I was online looking at houses and flats, like, for them. I was like desperate to help. And yeah, really stressful. You hear Dad, he's like banging. We're still not fully moved in, by the way, so if you hear banging, Dad's decided it's time to put up pictures. But obviously found a house in the end. But honestly, I didn't... You know how much packing can go into a house, because especially a family can accumulate so much crap. It's ridiculous. I think we just spent hours alone throwing stuff out. But honestly, it was also a bit of a emotionally draining experience, because it's really stressful, but also it like brought up a lot of questions for me as well, because I was planning to live with my parents to save money for quite some time, and originally I wanted to move to London by the end of the year, by like September. But I quickly realised that it's not financially viable at the moment. And if I were to move to London, I would be spending a lot of my wages on rent, which, if that's what you want and that's what you can afford, that's fine. But I'm only just kind of starting to make money after uni, and as much as London would be fun, I want to live there and be able to afford to do things, not just be able to just afford to live in that, around the area. So that was a change in plan. But also it was mainly the fact that I planned to move out at some point, because obviously being 23, you want your own space. And that was kind of the aim for London. There was also some other reasoning behind wanting to move to London. I'd just gone through a breakup when I decided I'd really like to live there. Actually, it was just before the breakup. But I quickly realised that London kind of was an excuse to help the breakup, almost like running away from the situation rather than facing the fact that I was losing feelings for someone. And I kind of put it on the fact like, oh, well, he doesn't want to do long distance, so if I move to London, then we're going to break up anyway. And it was more of an excuse. As much as I love London, I don't want to live there because I'm trying to avoid something. You should never move somewhere just because you're running away from something. Unless you're a criminal, then I can't, whatever suits you, boo. But yeah, so plans have changed. I have instead decided I want to go travelling. So, and obviously that costs a lot of money. So I'm saving to travel now rather than saving to move to London. But then after that, who knows, because it is honestly so difficult to know what's going to happen, especially in this economy where I was watching the news and they were saying that the average person, like the average age that people will move out of their parents' house is 32, because people can't afford to buy a house. Like, we're kind of doomed, some of us, to rent for the rest of our lives. And unless you have help or like a really good job, which is really hard to get when you've just started your career path in your 20s, because you don't really have the knowledge or the experience to back you, so you're not going to get anything immense in wages and salary. So it's a really weird period to be in your 20s and want your own space but not be able to afford it, but also want to go travelling, but it's all confusing. But I mean, I'm very fortunate. Me and my family get along really well. My parents are so supportive. They have always wanted me to save my money. They've always helped me out where I can, but also I pay for everything myself because I don't want them to. I have a job. I want to be able to be responsible for my own finances because I just don't want to leech off them. But they are so supportive where I need it, and I'm really lucky because not everyone has that situation. Some people want to leave home because they don't have that. They don't have a good relationship with their parents or their siblings or other family members that are looking after them. And especially if there's politics involved or people don't agree with your sexual orientation or your gender identity, so many people almost feel forced to leave home early because they don't have a safe environment. And I've always had a safe environment, so I'm incredibly blessed, and I completely understand that not everyone has the privilege and the luxury of being able to stay home and save money in your 20s. Some people actually have to just leave home because it's better for them mentally and sometimes physically. But at the moment, I'm at home, and as much as I love them, I do want my own space because I am getting to that age now where I just want a place to call my own, and that's hammering away. Just wait. I think he's done hammering. The amount of editing I'm going to have to do to edit out Dad's hammering of the fucking walls. But yeah, it's important to have your own space. And after going to university and having that space, albeit shared with housemates, it was still like a house that I partly owned because I wasn't living with my parents, so I was responsible for cooking everything, cleaning my own space, which I do now, but it felt completely different. And it just felt so nice to be able to have the privacy, because we're not a big family, but families can get on top of each other, can't they? Especially when you have siblings, and I only have one sibling, but he is 12, so you can imagine I'm like doing stuff from home, like for work, or I'm just chilling, and then he just bounds through the door after school and is like, I'm hungry. Like, okay. So I just be able to not do that. If I lived on my own, I would just have to feed me when I'm hungry, which I know it's nothing really to complain about, is it? But yeah. But I think there's also a large pressure at this age because people around you start moving in together and moving to different places. I have a few friends that are already independent with housing, and it can be really scary to like see friends, and like whether it be like friends moving in together or like couples moving in together, that can set the timer on in your head about, should I be doing that now? Like, am I behind? And it's so easy to feel behind in your 20s with everything. Like, it just is. But what's important to remember is everyone is on their own clock. And just because someone else has got a really good job or moving house or whatever you feel you're comparing yourself to, it doesn't mean you're behind. It just means you're on a different clock. And also, people have different wants and needs. I don't want a house, like to own a house currently because of traveling, because I don't really want to be tied up to that. It just depends on your situation at the time. So please remember, don't panic. As much as I'm such a not practicing what I preach, like I'm always anxious about it, even though I tell people, don't worry, it's not. But hello, it's just how it works, isn't it? But as I was planning to move to London with some friends, I haven't left anyone in the dust, because luckily quite a few of my friends plan to move to London. And 4 of my really good friends, like my best friends, are moving in together to London at the end of the year, which I'm really excited for them for. And you've just got to see the positive of it as well, rather than seeing it as like, oh my god, like they get to live together in like a cool city and just like go through adulthood together. Think of it as like, oh my god, I get to visit London and see 4 of my best friends at the same time because they're all in one spot. Think of it like that. See the positive. I know it's so difficult to see the positives in everything, and believe me, I am not positive like religiously. I have my moments where I'm like, oh, you know, fuck this. Like, I give up. But you've got to try. I know it's so hard and it's so easy to say, we'll just be positive, but then it gets to it. But I have started seeing the positive in it, and I am genuinely so excited to be able to visit my friends in London and watch them grow their careers, because it's also they're all in a position where they've chosen career paths that kind of need to be city centre, whether that be like acting, musical theatre, law. It's just really beneficial for them to network in those areas. And then I've got another best friend who's thinking of moving in with her boyfriend. I've got another friend who's already moved in with her boyfriend. It's just, especially when you don't have a partner, I've just started seeing someone, and obviously moving in isn't going to be on the conversation because that's a bit too soon. Like, you're not going to move in with someone straight away. But I can see how people can feel really disheartened when they don't even have a serious relationship, or like they never have, and then they see their friends moving in with their partners. And you almost feel, it's like the classic biological clock. It's like, oh my god. Like, even if you don't want to have a family or want to get married, like, it's been built in us, in our heads, that, oh my god, like, I got to do the whole marriage thing and the baby thing. So if people are moving in now and I don't even have a boyfriend, then, like, when am I going to start doing that stuff? It's so easy to, like, get caught up in that. But again, do not compare yourself to other people's relationship stage, because you're like, it's not going to be beneficial to you. And just because other people are doing that doesn't mean you're not going to do that. So yeah, please don't be disheartened by your own path. Everyone's paths look different. And also, if you're just constantly looking back, you're going to trip on the way to what you want to get. So remember to just focus on what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you're doing so well. Like, I'm sorry, I just hit you. You're doing so well, and you need to tell yourself that more. And I know social media is also a great thing and a bad thing, because you get to keep up with your friends making these life changes, but also you compare yourself to these life changes other people are making. So if it's really affecting you, come off social media, write down some gratitudes, and just remember that you are not behind, no matter what people tell you or what you think of yourself. But at the end of the day, I think of it like you get all these people that can help you when it comes to your turn. Like when you want to make a move to a city or you want to buy a house, you've got these amazing people in your life that have already done it and they can help you, and they've done the trials and errors. So again, just focusing on the positive, because at the end of the day, it's so hard to be in your 20s and see what good will come later in life, because you're in the now, and the now is really scary. And I especially really struggle with if I'm in a dark hole of like, oh my God, like how am I ever going to be able to afford to live on my own? How am I ever going to find someone who wants to live with me? Am I ever going to like get to that stage? It can be really hard to like see the light at the end of the tunnel. When you're in it, you're just surrounded by darkness. And so when you hold a mirror up to what's really going on, it's still hard to see in darkness. So you've really got to take yourself out of that hole. Otherwise, I'm a full believer that if you think negative things will happen, because you're almost asking for them subconsciously. Because if you're thinking that's not going to happen for me, then it's not, because you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in patience and I say hard work. We all work hard, and sometimes we don't get what we want. But you really need to believe that you need to trust the process. Because that's a big thing as well. People say work hard and you'll get the dream job, the dream house. But like I said previously in the video, some people won't move out until they're 32 because they physically can't afford it. No matter how good a job you have, it seems the housing market is ridiculous. Even where I live, like I can't imagine paying like up to £1,200 just for like a 1-bedroom flat in London. That is also a big thing with being in your 20s and trying to map out how you're going to get the money to live, basically, in your own place. Being in your 20s is very much people telling you to save money, invest smartly in stocks and shares, do your research, get help to buy ISA. And we do all these things. We work hard, we try and get promotions at work, we try and find work that pays well. We grind, we do things we don't like doing because it can sometimes pay better. And then still at the end of the day, after all the expenses have gone out, we're left with nothing. So as much as it's important to save to get to where you want, and if that is the end goal for you and you want to save to get that house, do it. Not having anything against that for you. But I just kind of think that we're being told it's near impossible at the moment to be able to buy a house without help or a fluke of like winning the lottery or finding that good job. You might as well have fun in your 20s because they're such a shit part of our life. They're really an experimental period about what you want to do for work. Some people don't even know in their 20s or past their 20s who you are as a person. I have done a lot of work on trying to find who I am as a person, and I still am. I think I'm getting there. But it's very much the quarter life crisis where you're like exhausted all the time. You're trying to keep up with socials, seeing your friends even though none of your schedules are like the same. And then keeping up with keeping fit, keeping healthy, but also going out and eating fun food and enjoying those treats, but also getting all your vitamins in. And then making sure you have enough money to do recreational things, but also pay the bills. It's just too confusing. Just have fun. Because at the end of the day, you're going to look back and think, I'm so glad I went traveling. I'm so glad I went and had that amazing meal that ended up being my favourite restaurant. I'm so glad I went out to that event and met someone I'm still in contact with, rather than being just stuck in a beautiful house thinking, I haven't got anyone to share it with or any memories to put up in it. There's no point. Do a nice balance, but make sure you have fun, because it's so easy to get so swept up with money troubles and think, oh my god, like, how am I ever going to move out? Take it day by day at a time, because otherwise it just gets too overwhelming, and we're already overwhelmed as it is. Don't make your brain and your mind a space where it's so horrible to be in. Like, you need to be kind to yourself, because at the end of the day, you are with yourself all day, every day. So make you a positive environment to be in. Otherwise, other people are going to bring you down more if you're bringing yourself down. So, yeah. But I thought this was an important episode to start off with on YouTube, because it also kind of reflects how I am and what the topics are going to be on the lines of, and it also helps you guys know me and know that I'm here for you to kind of feel safe and feel like you don't have to have your shit together, because I don't have my shit together, and it may look like people have their shit together. They don't. And even if they do, we don't have to think of it as like, oh, that means I'm failing. It doesn't. So I want this podcast and YouTube channel to be a really good place for you guys to just come and think, oh, I can breathe, and I can just feel like it's okay for a moment to just be here and not focus on what other people are doing, because that's what we need. And it's just like a cute environment, and I want to create a community where everyone is happy and connecting and not stressing about stupid things that are just bringing you down. So yeah, I think that's the first episode done. Look at that. Sorry if I absolutely rambled at you. I'm a bit out of practice. I need to get into the swing of it again, because obviously I haven't done this for 6 months, and also new with the like filming part, so I have to experiment with that as well. But I'm so glad that I am doing this again, because it's really making me like happy again. I love creating and just talking to people. I can talk a lot and just ramble. So if you have any topics you'd like to cover, please let me know, either in the comment section, or if you're listening on Spotify right now, there's a little section that you can go to that I will link, where you can suggest some topics or interact or do some polls, surveys, stuff like that. But I really want you guys to interact and feel like you can ask me to do things, and I just want to be a positive element to your life, but also make sure we can have a good bitch, but not like drag you down, if you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you want any topics specifically. I've got some in mind, but even so, let me know how you like the podcast. And then if you're listening on Spotify, please follow on there. I've linked the Instagram for the podcast below, and I've also linked the Spotify if you're watching on YouTube below, so that you can just go onto it directly. But I'm hoping to be here for you weekly, every Wednesday. So I will be posting 8:30 in the morning. I know that's early, but it kind of just suits my schedule at the moment. But obviously, do not feel you don't have to watch it or listen to it at 8:30 bang on. It's just a good time to post for me, and feel free to listen anytime in the day. But I really hope you like this episode, guys, and I will be seeing you next week for a new episode of the Better Luck Next Time podcast. So I hope you have a very happy ordinary day, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye!